Hi everybody. Well, it's that time of the year again, and it's time to think about splits. And in order to think about splits, you have to have queens available. And in order to have queens available, you can either do two things. You can either buy queens, which you can buy queen cells, virgin queens, or mated queens, or you can raise them yourself. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I'm a big proponent for raising your own queens, being self-sustainable. That's what it's all about. Uh, Last year was my really first year of getting into this. I tried it a couple years before that to an utter failure. Last year I had limited success, mainly because I didn't pay attention to the small details. Uh, they say bees are forgiving when you're raising bees, which in most cases they are, except when you're raising queens. Um, you have to pay attention to every single detail when you're grafting queens and raising your own queens. Anybody can do it, and that is true. You need resources to to graft queens, and to create a cell builder and to split hives. You have to have resources for that. So, um, anybody that tells you that you can graft with just a couple of hives is kind of lying to you just a little bit. Um, you do need quite a few hives. Yeah, I can take a hive, create it, and create 20 queen cells with just a single hive. I absolutely can. Then what do? I need 20 frames of bees for for my splits, for my mating nukes, and that takes some doing. Now, it's a week earlier than I anticipated doing this. The truth of the matter is that in my group, we got a group of guys that talk a lot about raising queens and being self-sustainable and doing things. That's the Upper Midwest Beekeeping Chat Group. Great group of guys, a lot to learn from. But everybody else is starting it, so I figure what the hell, I might as well jump in the fray, join in the fray too, and do this. Um, so what I'm doing today is Saturday, I don't even know, May 8th. And I'm setting up my cell builder. Um, I identified this location actually last year as this is going to be my um, cell building hive. It's kind of away from everything else. This is where I wanted it. Um, going to be obviously a populous hive. It's pretty funny. I was waiting here today to see if it's pretty cool out. It was pretty cool out this morning, and I was kind of waiting for the bees to like get going and let the foragers leave while I manipulate this hive, because it's going to take quite some doing and disturbance of the hive, and the foragers can be a little testy if they're around. So I was kind of waiting. It's probably 10 o'clock or 10:30 now, till it warmed up a bit and they can go out and forage and do their thing. Now, this is a hive here. I literally just put this upper box on with 6 frames of comb and 4 frames of foundation. I just put it on Wednesday. Today is Saturday. Like I said, I was going to wait another week to do this, but what the hell, I can do this now. Now, what I'm doing in this part of the video, actually, I just want to explain to you what I'm going to be doing and what you need, or what you need and what you do. Now, I'm doing my cell builder a little differently than maybe you've seen other people do it. Mike Palmer, guys like that, Richard Noel, Ian Stepler, Ian and Mike Palmer. Well, let's back up a little bit. Ian uses uh, a cell builder that is also his finisher. Bob Binney is a guy. He uses his cell builder as a cell builder, and then he converts it into a queen rate cell finisher. Richard Noel uses his as a cell starter, and then when he finishes his bees, he transfers his frames of cells into nucleus colonies above a queen excluder, and those are his finishers. Now there are a million ways to do this. This is how I'm doing it. Now what I'm following is more in the line of Bob Binney. Now what he does is a queenless cell builder, queen right finisher, all in the same hive in essence. And the tools that you're going to need for that, and I'll show you that in a minute. Number one, I've got a landing board here. This is to shake bees, nurse bees on, let them climb into the hive from other hives that I'm going to collect. You're going to need a frame feeder. At least I use a frame feeder. This one has a frame feeder in it. My upper box does not. One of these boxes is going to be queenless. The other one is going to be queen right. And just so you know what we're doing here. A frame feeder is what I'm using. You can use a bucket feeder or something like that, but the bees need food to feed the cells. Always have a flow presence, so to stimulate them into wax production and feeding their queen cells. A pollen patty is another thing that you're going to need. Not necessary if they have a heavy pollen flow, but it's there just in case. If the bees need it or want it, they have it. They have access to it. So that's what I got there. But the frame feeder, I'm going to put a frame feeder in the lower box and the upper box for now. Also, and you can find this, actually I built this winter, or early December last year. This is a double screen bottom board, okay? And what it is it's got a screen on both sides, okay? So when you put this on top of a box and set another box on top of it, the bees don't communicate through the double screens, okay? One side of this has an entrance. The other side is completely closed off, all right? And that way you're separating the queen from the rest of the hive while you do your cell building. And then as we get going, you will combine the hives back together, and you will take this off and then replace it with a queen excluder. We'll do that in 48 hours. After that, we'll take so what we're doing essentially, I'm creating a queenless colony here, queen right colony on top for now. I'll separate it with this double screen bottom board. Okay? So this hive will be totally queenless. This hive will continue to be queen right. This hive needs less bees because the heat will rise through the screen to keep brood upstairs warm while the queen continues to lay, but the transfer of pheromones doesn't go through the double screen. So this hive will know it's queenless, and they will go into emergency mode and start creating those queen cells. Now you're going to populate this hive almost to the point of swarming, but they're not going to swarm because they don't have a queen. And so that's also a swarm impulse also goes into overdrive for them. The overcrowding, the emergency response, and they'll create you nice, good queen cells. That's the theory behind this anyways. And I don't know who developed this procedure. Might be, I know Brother Adam didn't do the double screen board or anything like that, but he was the one that talked about overcrowding in a cell builder to produce the best quality queens that you can. There's a few different queens, ways to raise queens out there. Walkaway splits, which is, again, an emergency response. They lost their queen, and so they'll create queen cells. They generally create it from the oldest larvae out there and some of the youngest ones, but the oldest will emerge first and kill all the youngest ones. Now the best queens come from the youngest larvae, so you're producing inferior queens with that type of scenario. Grafting is another way of doing making queen cells. And again, that's the emergency response, pure emergency response, and that is the second best way to create queen cells. But it is also the best way to create a lot of queen cells. And the best queen cells, they say, are from swarm cells. Now, in order for your bees to get to that point, you have had to have, maybe neglected your bees a little bit, allowed them to overcrowd too much, and they're going to swarm. And hopefully, you got to it before you lost your queen to the trees. That's all I can say about that. So, yeah, swarm cells are the best ones, but you have to be Johnny on the spot to save your hive if you're going to go through that. Grafting. I grafted last year, and my grafted queen cells are absolutely killing it this year. Is it because, and they overwintered well? Is it because I grafted that I have good, they're killing it this year? That's part of it. Is it because of my overwintering techniques changed? That's part of it. But I did notice that they are absolutely just brooding up beyond belief, way earlier than I have ever had before in the spring. So, you can chalk it up to several different things, but overwintered queens is where I start my grafting. I need a queen that's able to survive our winters here. That's my first goal. Honey production is another goal. Calmness, that's another goal. I ain't breeding from an aggressive hive. So another piece of equipment that I have here, I've got this carry box. This is an easy nuke. You can use any kind of nuke that you have closed off. I just want to, first thing I have to do when I go into this hive is identify the queen. I have to find the queen. Then I can manipulate the whole hive. I can either put her in my queen cage right here, or I can put her, the whole frame, in here. My guess is she's going to be up here in this upper box since I just put it up here on Wednesday. She's probably up there laying in that, so she might be easier to find. And then I'll just take the whole frame, set it in here. She's out of the way, and I can continue to do my thing. Now, there's other hives over here that I have to get into and pull frames of brood and bees, and I have to find those queens so I don't shake those. One of the mistakes, the big mistakes that I made last year, I scanned the frame real quick for a queen, shook it in. I had a whole grafted cell bar full of cells. They were awesome. I couldn't wait. Around day 10, I pulled it up to take a look at how the bees did, and guess what? All the queen cells were being taken down. Why? Because I had accidentally shaken one of my queens into my cell builder, and she went up and killed all the queen cells. And a mistake like that can set you back so far when you're trying to set up nukes and you're trying to time everything out. So you can't make mistakes like that. You have to have attention to detail. Now, when I do this, what I'm going to shoot for, now I have a frame feeder here that takes up two spots in my 10 frame box. So I have 8 frames to fill in that box. One of them is a honey frame. Next one is a pollen frame, pure pollen, and you want your pollen frame next to your graft cells so that it's not far for them to feed the bees. And then after that, it's going to be a frame of open larvae so that your nurse bees will be right there, and they're gonna, when they realize they're queenless, they're gonna be jumping on those cells, and they're going to start producing queen cells on that brood. They're gonna get their glands going and start producing that royal jelly, and then tomorrow I will pull that frame out, and that is where I will set the grafted frame in. and those bees will jump on those cells, and they've already started that emergency response, and they will jump on those cells and start feeding them the royal jelly. That's the theory behind giving them an open frame of brood. Now, tomorrow when I pull that open frame of brood out and they have started developing queen cells, I will, of course, take care of all those queen cells in there and then set it back into this queen right portion of the hive. When I create this queen right portion of the hive, I'm going to leave one empty slot for the day so that when I take the bottom one out, I can easily just set that in. That's the thing. So what I want down here, frame of honey, frame of pollen, open brood, and that's also going to be the spot where the graft goes in, the graft frame. Then it's going to be cap brood, cap brood, cap brood, and then a frame of foundation so that they can draw wax. The biggest thing that affects your queen cells is they tend to start building burr comb between the queen cells, and then you have a big mess on your hands. So hopefully you can alleviate some of that by giving them a spot to draw wax on, because they have nothing else to do in an overcrowded box. So without further ado, that's what I'm going to do. I have everything set up here. That's another thing that you're going to want to do. Get everything you need ready so that when you start doing this manipulation, you don't have to keep going back to where, your boxes are stored or equipment is stored and keep making trips. You want everything as efficient as possible. Get in, manipulate it, and get out, and then leave them overnight, and then you can start grafting in the morning. I have identified a colony over there as a breeder queen, and now if you listen to Brother Adam, and it's good to listen to Brother Adam, he says that a breeder queen that is restricted to laying only 300-400 cells per day will create better queens than one that's currently laying 2,000 cells per day. That queen over there is killing it, and that's why I want to breed from her. I'm not in this in the commercial aspect of it, and I'm not creating this super breed, but I want her genetics. I have a couple other queens also that are killing it, and I'm going to be pulling from them on different weeks. Again, I only have resources to create about 10 mating nukes a week. So I can't get ahead of myself, but I am going to offer queen cells to anybody that may want some extra ones that I might have. So that's what I'm going to, I put a notice out up to my club if anybody wants any. I'll sell them some queen cells for very, very inexpensively, and if they don't take or they don't emerge, it's a money back situation for sure. But that's it. Without further ado, I'm going to get going. Another piece of equipment, and I don't know if you can see that in the shot or not, I have a table set up, and I'm going to be setting that colony on there while I manipulate it. All the foragers will go back to the main hive for a while I do that, so it'll be easier to manipulate that colony on a table, work on a table. So that's my plan anyways. This landing board again, Bob Benny had suggested that you put a board down with a t-shirt or something soft that you can shake bees on, and the nurse bees will, since they've never been really out of their colony, they'll just walk right into your colony while the foragers will fly back, and then you will get nothing but nurse bees going into your colony. You can of course shake bees straight into the box, but it creates less of a mess if you dump them out front. That's his advice, and I'm taking it at face value. So check out his video. He's got a great cell building video. This one's mine. I'm doing it, just a little different. I have different equipment. I have different things. I have different goals. Again, I'm not creating 48 queen cells in a row. I thought about doing this just in a 5-frame box. I did that last year to a varying degree of success. But you know, we'll see how this works out.